the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ according to Luke.
Glory to you, Lord Christ.
At that very hour, some Pharisees came and said to Jesus, "Get away from here, for Herod wants to kill you." He said, "Go and tell that fox for me, listen, I am casting out demons and performing cures today and tomorrow, and on the third day I finish my work. Yet today, tomorrow, and the next day I must be on my way, because it is impossible for a prophet to be killed outside of Jerusalem. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the city that kills prophets and stones those who are sent to it. How often have I desired to gather your children together, as a hen gathers her brood under her wings, and you were not willing. See, your house is left to you. And I tell you, you will not see me again until the time comes when you say, 'Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord.'" The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Christ.
O Adonai, Holy Trinity, in your omnipotence we find courage, in your omniscience we find wisdom, in your omnipresence we will never be alone. Amen. Be seated. And Abram said, "O Lord, how shall I know that I am to possess it?" Before Solomon's wisdom, before David's confession, before the envy of Saul, before Samuel's faithfulness, before Samson's lust, before the reign of the judges, before the courage of Joshua, before Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt, before Joseph and his coat of many colors, before Jacob and his 12 children, before Isaac, the laughter of God to a world that didn't believe, there was the despair of Abram. "O Lord, how shall I know that I am to possess it?" How is this all to come to be? That's the power of this passage today, and that is the power of this language of covenant that we are going to look at today, because it is nothing less than the very fact that God promised Abram something. God promised Abram that his descendants would be greater than the sand of the seashore and the stars in the sky. God promised Abram that he would possess the land that he's living in. God promised all of these things. Today we are going to look at the way in which the covenant is part of the very promises of God that God gives to Abraham and that God gives to all of us. So we'll look at this concept of covenant. We'll look at the promise that God made to Abram through the covenant. And we'll look at how we have inherited that promise for the whole world. Gosh, that kid's cute. All right, it's going to be a tough one, guys. Pray for me. All right. Because I'm talking about violence and animals and all these things, and looking at a really cute baby makes it awkward. All right. So when Abram comes and God speaks to him and says, "Go to this land that I'm going to give to you. You don't really know where it is, but I'll tell you when to stop. So start moving," right? And Abram takes Sarah and his family and all of these people with him, and Lot and all of those other people, and they traverse basically the Fertile Crescents and finally get to what we now call Israel. And he sojourns there. And there's, of course, a famine, and he goes to Egypt, and he sells his wife into slavery, gets a lot of money for that, but God rebukes Pharaoh for Abram selling his wife into slavery, brings Sarai comes back to Abram, and, all is not well, but Abram's forgiven, and he gets to keep all the wealth as well, and he comes back to Israel, a rich man, right? He comes back, and God says to him again, "I am your shield and your great reward," and he comes to him right here, after all of these things have happened. And he says, "I'm going to do the same thing that I said to you before. You're going to be a person who has many children and a multitude of descendants." And Abram says, "Look, I'm 100 years old. My wife's 90. What happens, when you're 90, you don't really have kids anymore and all of those things." But God says that he's going to do it. And he says, "How do I know that I shall possess the land? How do I know that this will come true?" And God says, "Bring me a heifer," which is the equivalent, the 21st century equivalent of saying, "Bring me a lawyer." We'll cut out a contract and you can sign it. Or an international lawyer between two countries that are trying to find peace. Because that's what has happened here, that Abram is trying to make peace with God and to ask God if those promises will be fulfilled. So he cuts these animals in half and he makes them up like the chairs that are made up today. And he knows what's going to happen next, and a dread comes before him, right? What's happening next is a covenant is about to be cut. And if you come from a Reformed background or a Presbyterian background, you know what I'm talking about. That a treaty is about to be made between two parties. And usually, it's the powerful ruler who has overthrown the smaller ruler. And he now takes that person who he's had victory over, he grabs him by the hand, he cuts up all these animals, and he says, walk this line. And as you walk this line, you will say, as these animals are, so will I be if I ever break my treaty that I've made with you. And it's a forced thing. They force this smaller guy to walk the line, and they do that. And so what Abram and God are trying to work out is, okay, Abram, you need to walk this line and say, just as these animals are, so will I be if I break this promise. And yet, this is the dread that comes over Abram that puts him into a deep sleep that he can't come out of. Because if he's going to come into a covenant with God, that God is never going to go away. That God is never going to die. That God is never going to not be God. And so this is something that him and his descendants have to keep forever. For as these animals will be, so will they be. That's what a covenant is. That's the covenantal relationship that God and humanity have had. And they made one with Noah, they made one with Adam, they made one with David, they made one with Moses, and all of them share in this covenantal relationship where God and humanity have come to peace with one another. And Abram is emblematic of that because Abraham falls asleep and never walks the line. God walks the line with his flaming torch and a smoldering pot, whatever that is an image to Abram of God walking the line and saying, as these animals are, so will come upon me if you or I ever break this covenant. God made the promise and God walked the line and took it upon himself to fulfill the promise that he made to humanity through Abram. And Isaac comes. And then Jacob and Esau, and the 12 tribes of Israel, and then all of them survive and overwhelm the Egyptians with all their birth rates. And then all of a sudden, they're enslaved and they come out into the wilderness to find their way back to the promised land, to what they were promised. And we share in that. We share in that promise. That God says to Abraham, I am your shield and your great reward. As far as the east is from the west, so far have I taken your sins from you. Comfort, comfort, O Israel. He says all of these things, all to Abraham's children, to remind them that you can count on me and the promises that I made to you. Because I promised and I keep my promises. And Abram takes this with him, this promise with him to an understanding, and brings it with him when he goes before the mountain and as he takes Isaac up to sacrifice him. He brings this before him throughout the rest of his time. And he makes enormous mistakes along the way. He is unfaithful to Sarah, to his family, and yet God continues to be faithful, no matter what. So when I tell you, week in and week out, that God absolutely adores you, and there's nothing you can do to get away from that love, this is what I'm talking about. Before Ishmael, before Isaac, before Hagar and Sarah, before the binding of Isaac, before the fact that he never went back to Sarah after that happened, before Keturah and the birth of the Midianites, and all the ways in which Abraham made mistakes. Terrible mistakes. God's promise stayed with him. And God's promise stays with us. In the midst of our mistakes. Because God did walk that line and took our sins upon him in Jesus Christ. As I said at the absolution, those sins have been dealt with for all time, and all of humanity now has been reconciled one to another because of the cross of Christ. If you look at the world and you say it doesn't look like that, it is because of us, not because of what God has done. It is because of the way in which we rebel against what God has done and the love that God has established in the world, rather than because God doesn't care about us and has left us to our own devices. The power of our gospel, the good news is God has never forsaken us and will never leave us. And there is nothing you can do to get away from that. That promise for Abraham is for us as well. And we now, his children, through adoption and through other ways, have now grown to over 1 billion people, if you count all of the different Christian denominations, Jews and Christians alike. We share in that promise. And what it means finally is that you can hold God to what God has promised. You believe that? Because I struggle with it week in and week out, day in and day out. Sunday night last week, after watching Jeremiah on the TV, right? I got a call from the director of our childhood center, who asked me to go to the hospital where a daughter of one of our child care workers who's been struggling with cancer for a long time, went into the hospital. And I was there, and I prayed for her, and I said the same prayer I prayed for Kyle. I said, "Oh God, glorify yourself to all who are in this room and all who are in this hospital.